Hi, this is Tracy Taylor with the Wasatch Taxpayers Association. We're conducting candidate interviews for the Republican primary election, June 25th. Your ballots should be in the mail if you haven't gotten them already, so keep an eye out for that. And check us out at wasatchtaxpayersassociation.com. See the latest Wasatch County news and information and join us. We'd love to have you. So today we have Todd Griffin. He's the Incumbent Assessor. And Todd, why don't you explain to the voters, first of all, why you're running again, and then also a little bit about yourself and your experience.
Okay. I'm running again because the amount of work we've accomplished in 40 months has been completely to the benefit of all taxpayers in this county. It comes in the forms of assessments that are current to market values, as well as the ability to bring the other programs in the county up to date with the agricultural, that sort of programs. Had a complete transformation of the office in the last 40 months, and I don't want to walk away from that now. We're on a roll and we're ready to make more progress. And my background is, as most people know by now, I've been an appraiser in the state of Utah for 26 years. I've worked for the Wasatch County in the assessor's office for 10 years. That doesn't mean I surrendered my personal business. I at this time when I was not the assessor, I was doing my 8 to 5 work here, and then I would also, as the opportunity arose, I would do assessments or appraisals outside of the county. In the state of Utah, the counties do not allow their staff to perform personal appraisals in the county for which they work. So there's no conflict there. I just want to keep going, and I have a wife and 3 kids, 2 grandkids, and I live in Heber, and I've lived in Utah my whole life. I've been a Republican my whole life, even though my family I grew up in was Democrats. I had a different vision of, I think, that we need to be very cost conscious in our taxes and not grow our tax base. So that's why I feel the way I do.
Great. Well, let's get started. I mean, we have some history. I'm just disclosing this to the public. Wasatch Taxpayers Association brought these inequities of the tax system to you guys and to the county council 5 years ago at least.
That's correct.
And so also I'm in a unique position being a real estate broker with Keller Williams for the last 25 years in this valley. I have access to sold data and some of the data that the public doesn't have.
Yes.
Because of my profession. And so you are a member of these MLSs though too, right?
That's
you
correct.
get the sold data from our MLS systems, correct? So you have the same information I've got.
Yeah, Utah's a non-disclosure state, so that's truly about our only source.
Right.
Unless somebody's forthcoming with what they've purchased,
Right.
we have no way of knowing.
Absolutely. So I guess there's a little bit of frustration on our part. There were couple handfuls of citizens that were very concerned about this. At first, quite honestly, the Utah Tax Commission told us we were overreacting and we had, it wasn't as bad as we thought, that kind of thing. And so now, finally, the state legislature is looking at a lot of different counties in the state. We're not the only one by any means. There are other counties. But finally, the state auditor came out with a letter to the Utah Tax Commission with findings that even the Utah Tax Commission has not been overseeing counties like they should have been. And so I'm just disclosing that to everybody, so it's not just the assessor. There is a systematic problem, statewide problem with equitable tax assessments.
That's good.
So that's where some of these findings that the state auditor came out with about the tax commission was that the procedures were inefficient to ensure uniform and equal treatment of parcels. There's another finding where it says the tax commission did not provide adequate regulation of county officers to ensure assessments of property are just and equal according to fair market value, and that the tax burden is distributed without favor or discrimination. So there's other findings here. All this information's up on our website. We'll get you the link there if you want to go see all this. But the point is that even though 5 years ago we were coming directly to the county council and to you, you've always been very nice and very cooperative when we come and talk to you. But there was this degree of the fact that we were overreacting originally.
The only correction I'd make to that is 5 years ago, I wasn't the boss, I wasn't the assessor, I was an employee. And
so did you see any of these problems for 10 years that
only in the area I was
working?
assigned to? So there were, yes. And of course you see that as an employee, but as an employee, your hands are, you bring it to the attention of those in charge.
Right.
And they're like, do your job, that sort of thing. And I couldn't change anything, which is why I became the assessor. Because there's multiple problems beyond assessments that I saw, of course. But you see, as you're working for anyone, you see how the company could become more efficient and better at what they do.
Right.
So in 2021, I think it was probably March when you came to the council, at one time, and you said, this is ridiculous. This is...
Well, I was bringing individual properties.
Right.
For instance,
Absolutely.
the Arby's Corner is a commercial. How long has Arby's been there in our community? 15 years maybe?
That's correct.
It was being assessed as a vacant lot. So the residential properties were subsidizing the commercial.
That parcel is divided, and I want to make sure, I don't know what you're saying. Because there was the back part of the parking lot is also a parcel. So I'm not sure if what you're saying is completely accurate, but could be.
Yeah, and I gave it to the council back, 3-4 years ago. So the other night we had the Republican meet the candidates night, and you were asked a couple questions that I thought were really good. And so I want to ask them again now, because I thought, that these are concerns the public has. So first of all, one gentleman got up and asked if you're complying with Code 59-2-351, which is the part of the code that says all properties need to be assessed every year. And he mentioned that the best year that the assessor has had in the past 4 or 5 years was 2022, when 59% of our properties were assessed and 34% were not assessed. And he brought up the fact that Walmart actually got a tax break that year because the commercial was not being assessed correctly and the residential was subsidizing the commercial. So Walmart, one of the biggest corporations in the world, is getting a tax break from the residents. And so I'm asking you again, I heard your answer there, but I'm giving you another chance to talk about whether you're complying with that code and you're assessing every year.
Let's break it down into 3 parts. The first part is the compliance with the code. Our office is in compliance with the code. It depends on the interpretation, of course. According to our attorneys and the tax commission and the auditor's office, state auditor's office, I'm in compliance. And the reason I'm in compliance is it says assessment. Of course, that just means everything has to have a value on it. Of course we're assessed. We're talking about reassessment. So every property, every market area should get looked at in general every year to say, did this market go up? As you know, as an agent, some markets go up. The neighboring subdivision may go down, or it may stay flat. So the idea that all values go up together and all values go down together is just not so. It can't be in this world. We're talking 20, in our county, it's a 4th class county. We have 27,000 parcels. So when you're talking about the Walmart assessment, which, as I recall, was part of an appeal the prior year, the value was set at that appeal the prior year. So to single them out and say, well, they're getting a discount, well, their value is probably fair. Let's find one, say if you said Arby's didn't have a structure, then that's a true inequity there, right? If we're paying their fair share. So to answer that question, so yes, I'm in compliance. We are reassessing all of the market areas every year, which includes the parcels within them. That doesn't mean they all go up. The 59% are only the ones that had a value change.
No, I understand the problem,
So these statistics saying that we're not doing 100% reassessment is not accurate. Now, that doesn't mean our assessments are perfect, right?
No, I think you're kind of picking out, like cherry picking some things. Let me just say this. I'm talking about the properties that have not been reassessed in the last 3 to 5 years. And there are still some out there. And then there's other people that get assessed every single year, okay? And they feel picked on because they're getting reassessed every year. So that's what I'm talking about, is being that we're supposed to be factoring every year to state code, and we can't even factor yet because a lot of neighborhoods aren't even on the same page yet. It's getting better, but I'm just saying.
Sure.
I want to bring up a couple examples of what I just researched this past year. Now, 2024 assessments are not even out yet, so I went back to 2023, okay? And again, I have this data because of my job. I know exactly where to look. But here's a property that just sold in January, because I know that's when you look at values for every year is January. This property sold for $983,000. When I went back to look at their assessments, the total market value is at $1,350,000. Okay, and it just sold for $983,000. So we actually have a case now. The real estate market was at its highest January of 2022. It's come down since then, okay? So this was assessed the year prior at $1,300,000.
Based off the sales from the year before.
Right, and I want to show the public what I get to see. I get to see all this data when I look it up. This is the data that is on the county website, which is basically the property address, the parcel number, and the amount due. I don't see square footage. I don't see the date of when the home was built. I'm not seeing that, all that criteria at your property lookup page. And this is part of the transparency we were talking about before, is that's not, if I'm getting this off of your website through my MLS system, it's there somewhere. It's not there for the taxpayer. Then you go to the actual tax notice that everybody gets. I'm looking at that property. It was $1,000,001 at the top of the market back in January 2022, and it was $1,000,001, and then it increased to $1,350,000 in 2023. And to me, I'm not understanding why that would get increased when the market was actually softening and the solds were different. But also,
But not the entire market was softening.
Right.
We have to look at the comparables for this property, like for like sales.
Right.
To generalize the whole
But you're talking about the neighborhood. That whole neighborhood was built all at the same time, and it's very easy to find. Let me just finish my point. So then you go to your base map here, that everybody gets your new base map, okay?
Yes.
And the information is much better.
Right.
But people don't know how to get here. The taxpayer does not. I have to click 4 or 5 times to get here to find this. When the property lookup that you have on your homepage for the taxpayer, the county homepage, it says look up here, and there's no information for them. So I'm just telling you, even the tax notice this tax notice does not have square footage. So the problem is how do people appeal their taxes to you, and then if they don't like what they get from you, they get to appeal at the state. How can they possibly appeal when they don't have the information available to them,
Correct.
right?
Yeah, you're right.
And then here, even on my tax data, it says there's 2,800 square feet on this home. And then you go to your base map and it says there's 4,242 square feet. All I'm saying is there's discrepancies, and I'm just
So the
saying
total square footage is 3938.
that's the listing. Don't look at the
I'm just
listing.
saying, that's,
Yeah.
I mean, so our records are off, appears they're
Right,
off,
but your record
So this
for
would be
the
the bumper.
MLS system that the real estate agents use isn't even correct. It's at 2814, but then your base map says 4343. My point is that it's very confusing for the public to find this information. I know exactly where to
Okay.
go look. And I've got other
I see your point.
instances. The point is, properties are dropping now. So we're not just concerned about properties rising. We now have to go back and start checking these poor people that are getting overtaxed when their home sells for $500,000 less than what they're being assessed at. But I've got
A
a
year
few.
later. I mean, it did sell a year later, right? I mean, it's not,
Well, I don't know. 2024 is not out yet.
well, 2024, this sold February 29th, so the third month, basically,
Right,
of the
but my,
24. So the values we have are based off of the prior year, which would have been 2022 sales.
right,
So
but,
the data we used to assess it for 23 comes from the prior year of 2022. So this value may have been legitimately in the ballpark when we assessed it.
well, it was
And maybe
1.1.
it's declined since then.
It's 1.1 back in 2022, but then you increased it 200,000 in 1 year, even higher.
Based on
My
the sales.
point is
So I-
properties are starting to drop,
I
and we
understand
gotta
that.
take
We
care of
monitor
those
that.
people
We
too.
do monitor that. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying, we
Yeah.
reassess the
Well,
market, so we know.
yeah.
So,
And I've got a few other examples of property in different areas where the sold price was $1.4 million, and you have it assessed at 900,000. That's still way over where they're being assessed at. $1.3 million this home sold for. It was assessed at 829, and it sold for $1.3 million. And then we've got one more, $1.6 million. It sold for, and it's assessed at 895.
Sure.
My point is I could spend all day. Here's a commercial property that is just sold for $950. Their assessments for the last 2-3 years, their market value is $170,000, and this is a commercial property. They're assessed at $170,000, and they sold for $950. So, as I said, you know, you're saying we're assessing everybody equally, all this stuff. It's not what we continue to research and find, and so that's my concern. Another thing is people do contact us all the time, send us information. I got this information just this week. I scrambled to research this because I had no idea what this is all about. One of the largest developers in our county has a total he's got 74 parcels total, okay? Totaling 16,000 acres. And he's annexed into Heber City, okay? He's paying any assessment at all on Greenbelt, anything. He's only paying 41 of those properties. The other 33 parcels of this 74 total parcels, he's not being assessed at all. It's a fat zero on a lot of these parcels of hundreds
I have to
of
say,
acres.
there's no way that he's not paying assessments on those parcels.
That's what's showing on your
I have
website.
multiple reports show me like properties with zero value. And that is quality control. There's no way that all of these properties are now being assessed. Now, if they're...
I didn't know what to tell them because
Well,
I'm looking it up on the website and
So-
it's showing 8,200
It could be.
acres not paying any
It could be.
taxes.
So for the new tax year that we're in, that you may have been looking up, the values were 0 because they changed the parcel number, but they're still being assessed on that prior number. So these
Well,
developers, they
I
changed
tried
stuff.
to go
So-
back in the system to the earlier tax notices. It didn't even take me anywhere.
That's why, because it didn't exist. The parcels, they don't
These are
exist.
large 500-acre parcels.
Correct, but they get broken down into little ones, so the original one goes away. So the assessment could have been
Well,
for
these
another
are
piece.
all of them. So
I will
anyway,
get back to you on that.
yeah, please do, because
Yep.
I don't know, I promised them I would ask,
Yes.
though. So the appeals process is a problem too.
Okay,
And so, there has been some reporting done on the appeals process that they found that the Wasatch County Assessor did not meet the definition of qualifying change, that the county assessor did not provide the commission with an inflation adjustment value computed. I mean, these are very technical things that the state did not find was done correctly. So the appeals process is also a big part of what you do, and the state is finding that these people are coming to appeal at the state and there's a problem. So, I hate to just drop all this on you, but
no, it's fine.
the point is that these are issues that our taxpayers have been trying to get to the bottom of for years. They feel very frustrated, and I just want to give you a moment now to talk to the voters and maybe explain some of this or what you plan on doing in the next 4 years if you get reelected to take care of some of this. Because we only have 3 minutes left. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
well, that went quick.
Do you know what? We're going to do another segment. So we'll just
So
keep going.
this one, I mean, obviously I have to look up all these to see.
Yeah.
Because each one's unique.
Right,
Right?
right.
And these are all obviously taken out of the 4-page text of what was said. And there also could be, depends on the date.
Right,
Like I said, I started being an assessor in 21,
right.
trying to get the values and everything else done. At the same time, these qualifying change, what this means is if you appeal your property and your value goes down from the Board of Equalization, they're saying the only increase could be due to market change, up or down, or physical improvements. But what they're not mentioning is also an equity issue. What if, even with the recommendation to change, they're completely below all their neighbors? That's not fair either.
Right.
So that could be these cases. I don't know. There's more than just this here, and I'd have to research each one to give a good answer.
Yeah,
But as far as the appeal process, when people come to the local appeal process, the public needs to understand the auditor is over the appeal process. I'm the other party.
right.
I don't conduct the meeting. I don't find the hearing officer.
But
That
you
is-
send the documentation to the taxpayer right before their appeal to the
there-
state?
Yes, so the local law is 5 days before their hearing,
Okay,
and the state law is 10 days prior to the hearing. I haven't been able to do that.
yeah.
It frankly,
I've heard,
frankly, I
I've
mean,
heard reports that
it's- I
they
would-
don't
I
get
would-
their
I would say,
information.
hit or miss,
Yeah,
to be honest, because I'm so busy trying to get all these values corrected. Something has to give.
Yeah.
Let's pause and then you want to start
yeah,
this.
absolutely. I'm
Let's do
gonna
that.
give you more time because we
Yeah, let's do
dropped
that.
a bunch of information. So please stay tuned. We're gonna do a little part 2 to this because we need to give Todd a chance to discuss this with us. We'll be right back.